when I got her, when she, gave me that first house, I'm walking out the door triumphantly with my contract telling her, yes, this is going to happen. We're going to close in 30 days. It's going to happen. And yeah, the next day though was not good, because that's when reality hit me like a ton of bricks. And I thought, you don't know anybody. You don't have a freaking dollar. You still have $28 to go to the grocery store. Like, why did you do this?
Yeah.
And that's when a tsunami of self-doubt just fell over me. And so what I ended up doing was back to Google, and I spent 2 days on the phone with what I later learned to be hard money lenders. I was basically calling the same type of guy who told me the same thing. Sure, bring in 10 to 30%, fill in the blank for whatever lender it was. And you got to have rehab money. And we need to see that you've had some experience doing this and blah, blah, blah. And I went, so I called 200 people in those 2 days. I just sat there on the phone, sat, notes. I'm going to find the person. I'm going to find the one. And my word is super important to me. And I promised her that I was going to do this. And I didn't even know at that time about, I had built in contingencies to the deal. So I could have walked away and been okay, but I promised her.
Right.
So I kept going back to that. And so then at the end of the second day, I was sitting there, same 200 phone calls. And I sit there and I just start to get like a tear, and I'm not a crier. And so I just started to get a tear, like just sick. I just felt sick. And so my husband came by and he said, it's time for bed. You got to go to sleep. You've been doing this for 2 straight days. You got to go to bed. I'll put the kids to bed, clean up, and then I'll come in, I'll rub your feet. Everything will be fine. And I was like, okay. Went to bed, and he came in and he said, you know what? You're going to figure this out. He said, before, when you wake up tomorrow, the idea is going to be in your mind. Just put it in there and go to sleep. Because he knows me, he knows how I think, know. And so I went to bed, and I woke up, and the next morning, my first thought was, if you got the deal from Facebook, why can't you get the money from Facebook?
Right.
And I was like, well, how the hell would I do that?
Right.
And so I created a little blurb, and it just said, I have this deal. It's worth this. At the end, it's going to be worth it. I'm buying it for this. At the end, it's going to be worth this. And I need a partner.
Right.
I need someone to pay 100% because I have no money to put in, but I'll do the work.
Right.
But I need the money for the rehab.
Right.
So if that interests you,
and
hit
the
me up.
math was enticing enough for somebody to respond.
I'm buying it for 3. I think I can sell it for 5.
Right.
Didn't even know how to speak the language back then.
Right.
I put that out within 2 hours. A lady messages me and she says, I think my friend would be interested
within
in
2
this.
hours.
2 hours
Wow.
on Facebook.
After being on Google for what?
2 days
2
of
days?
phone,
So imagine how many countless people have been in your exact same situation, didn't know what to do, right?
Yeah.
So imagine like we're doing this podcast here, somebody's listening, somebody's Googling, going on
Absolutely.
YouTube, and they come across you.
Exactly, because there's a lot of people that are just stuck.
Yes.
They're going through a lot of financial hardships because you've experienced not only life, all the stuff that comes with, a passing and just responsibilities, the kids, diapers, food, and on top of that, you had a financial burden. Yeah. So it's a lot easier once you find the right mentor that can teach you certain things.
So true.
Because if you have the finances in line, you can deal with those life challenges much smoother than having to be in a position where you don't even know if you're going to pay your rent or pay your bills or buy food.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
And if I had a coach, if I just had somebody, somebody at that time that said, oh, no, skip this, try this, don't go that way, go this way. Yeah. Man, that would have saved me years. If I had been at the place that I'm at now, like a couple of years ago, would have had way more money, would have been in a way better spot, even than I am now. And I'm in a great spot now.
Right.
But imagine if I'd had somebody even within that first couple months or that first year that said, hey, go this way. Oh, you don't have any money for a rehab? You could wholesale this deal.
Right.
What the heck is wholesaling? I didn't know, never heard that word. And so I didn't even know I could have gotten the cash quick just by selling the deal. Not even in my wheelhouse of an option. So I went back and, I got connected with a guy who connected me with a guy, my Josh is my friend, became my broker at different points, and he talked to me on the phone, and he says, hey, you know, he's probably gonna laugh when he hears the story too. He said, hey, you know, do you he's like, Scott said you have a deal, blah blah blah. I said yes. He goes, do you do this? Do you have experience? I said, absolutely, I have experience doing this. He goes, okay, let me look at your deal, let me analyze, and I'll get back to you. And I was like, okay. He called me back a couple hours later, said, okay, let's do it. Let's open up escrow. Let's get this going. And I was just like, what? Yep. And nothing. He's all, hey, you figure this out. Like, I'll come by maybe every so often and check on the progress. But, you know, you said you've done this, right? I said, yeah. And he goes, okay, then you're good,
Get
right?
to work, right?
Yeah. And I said, okay. And I think he gave me like 20, 30 grand for the rehab.
Wow.
And me and my husband said, okay, let's go. You know, so we ended up, I closed escrow in the 30 days, and she got to leave. And, you know, so
how much did you end up making on that
we
deal?
ended up making 75 on that first thing.
Your first deal, you made $75,000.